All right. Good afternoon. Good afternoon. Good afternoon, ladies and gentlemen, friends and family. We're so excited and delighted to come to you on another Sunday afternoon with another real talk conversation. So we're just super excited because we have one of the USA top Team USA. I mean, I'm getting a little bit nervous right now talking about Johnny, but we're gonna calm down. But yeah, you guys already know that Johnny, he is originally from Clayton, and he grew up in the Raleigh area, and that's where I'm currently living. So I'm always excited when we can come together. The goal of this program is to educate, motivate, and to inspire someone. So I believe Johnny is a perfect candidate to inspire someone. We know that his story started way back from Clayton High School, and he have transitioned over to a two-time NCAA champion, and his career is still going. The topic of this podcast today is one man chasing two dreams, and Johnny pretty much did a documentary about this whole thing here in 2016. And leading up to the Olympics. So he's going to be able to tell you a lot more about it. So, Johnny, welcome to the program. We're excited that you're able to just share a little bit of your knowledge with us this Sunday. We know that you are passionate about your athletic career and your film directing career. So we just want you to just give us a short introduction about yourself. Just tell us about you. Where you went to school, and just tell us a little bit about what you're doing right now.
Yeah, so first, thanks for having me. Known Ian for quite some time, since high school, so we have some history there. So yeah, again, thanks for having me. But yeah, I've been running track and field for quite some time now, since I was about 10 years old. That's when I started competing, being competitive in the sport. But I was around track earlier because my older sister ran track. So I was always around track, and the coach would always say, "Hey, Johnny, come and, run over one of the hurdles." And I'd be like, "Oh, I'm never going to run track. I hate track." And then one day I just pulled out a hurdle, put it on the grass in the middle of the field, and I ran over it. And the coach was like, "You're ready. You're natural." So he said, "Put it beside your sister's hurdle." And from then on, it was a wrap. I was hurdling with my sister and all her other training partners. And, yeah, it's been a wrap since then.
All right. So, a lot of people might not know that you as a sister that also, that ran, and, you guys used to train together. Just tell us a little bit about your earlier years into the whole sport of track and field. We know that, at what age did you actually start running? I mean, we know that, a lot of the middle school, you're not able to run track in middle school until you reach the high school. But for you, at what age did you actually say, look, I think, you tell your mom that, look, I think I want to continue to run track?
Yeah. I think when I first started, honestly, I was always serious. As a little boy, when I first started, my first race wasn't a hurdle race. I think it was the 100 meters. It was at St. Augustine, downtown Raleigh. It was a summer track event. That was my first race. I was 10 years old, and I peed at the line because I was so nervous. I was shaking, and one of my competitors, they were like, "What's wrong with you?" I was like, "I'm nervous." And then all of a sudden, the ground below me was wet, and it was just a weird situation. But that's when I really got competitive and took it very seriously. And then the next year, 10-year-olds can't hurdle in competitions, but 11 and 12-year-olds can. So when I turned 11, we would travel around the South and the East Coast and travel all over the place to compete. And at 11, I was taking it very seriously. And I think I really started to take it seriously when I was 12. I was running in the midget age group of summer track, and me and my sister were at the regionals, and after regionals is nationals, and you have to get top 3. And My sister in her race, she fell. She was projected to go to nationals, but she fell. And so then my race was up next, and then I fell too. And that's when it hit me that this is something I really love to do, because I was so distraught, and I realized I was so passionate at a young age. And from 11 years old onward, every year, every summer, I was being competitive. And that all those years of training paid off when I turned 16, and I was invited to my first international team, which was the National Scholastic High School team. I think it was one of their first years of doing it, but we competed down in Puerto Rico, and San Juan, Puerto Rico was the first international competition that I competed in, after or while in high school. And that really opened my perspective of what track could be and what my future could be if I continue to do this. And so running for the U.S. As part of that team really set the standard for me. And then after that, I started winning state championships in high school from freshman to senior year. But by my junior year, I got invited to compete for the Pan American junior team, which was held in Sao Paulo, Brazil. And there I won 2 golds. I won a gold in the 110 meter hurdles and the 400 meter hurdles. And it was the first time that actually had been done, a double hurdle event. No one had really done that before. And for a long time, I was trying to hold on to that double hurdle thing where I could be good at both. But once you get to college, they're like, you got to choose one. And I still stood firm to believing that I could do both. I still to this day believe people can do both. Of course, it's different for men and women because our hurdle height increases. But at the same time, I still love both of the events. But yeah, so that was my first competition, Puerto Rico international competition, and after that, it was a wrap. I was traveling every summer.
All right. So a lot of the viewers out there, Johnny, they're so excited to see you. They haven't seen you in a while, and you definitely inspire so many young athletes. So we're just so happy. So let's talk about a little bit about, we know, as you said before, you do both hurdles. You do the 110 hurdles and the 300 meter hurdles. So just tell us a little bit about your high school days, knowing that, you went to Clayton High School, and, you probably not many athletes or not many other hurdlers was going to school with you at the time. So just tell us a little bit about your high school days, just running at Clayton, some of your best memories that you could remember.
Yeah, that's interesting because, Clayton is a very small town. So it's all about football and basketball and baseball. So when I came to the scene, I had this little freshman boy. He's running really fast, and people are like, "What is this?" And then we had an asphalt track, so we didn't have a rubber track yet. So we were training on asphalt, basically concrete. So the first 2 years of high school, it was kind of difficult because people didn't understand what track and field was, and I used to get bullied about being fast. It's kind of weird. But I remember being in school, one of my art class, I had a bully. He'd be like, "You think you're fast, huh? You're not faster than me." And he would just pick on me because I was fast. I thought that was just so funny when I look back on that. But yeah, it was just very foreign to people in my small town. And then by sophomore year, I had won like a 4th state championship or something like that. And so the next year, they decided to redo our track. And we were one of the first tracks in the area that got a rubber track. And after that, schools in the conference started to get rubber tracks. And so I guess I kind of am a part of that old school generation where I can say we ran on asphalt and concrete.
Okay.
So that's how high school started, asphalt, and then we progressed to the newer tracks.
Okay.
Yeah.
All right. So tell me a little bit about the hurdles. I mean, we know that in high school, many athletes are scared of the hurdles, and that's probably one of the event that you got to get some coaching. You can't just decide that you want to run hurdles because you're going to hit the ground. So how did you start doing the hurdles, and who was, how did you get better learning your technique, and what did you do different, while you was in high school to continue to get better at your technique?
Yeah, I think in anything, in any industry, you have to be a student of your craft. So, of course, I was competitive, but my coach at the time, I had two coaches in high school, Steve McGill and Aaron McDougall. They're dear to my heart because they were just great, just father figures and just examples all around. But they loved track and field so much to the point where they were like, Dutch, you're great at hurdling, but you have to study it too. So my Steve McGill, he gave me a DVD. He made a DVD of all the old races from the 1960s, the 70s, and the 80s of Edwin Moses, Kevin Young, even 110 hurdlers like Ronaldo Nehemiah, and all the top guns in those decades. I would literally watch. I would have film days and just watch the technique of Edwin Moses, Kevin Young, Andre, all those people that have dominated the sport, Felix Sanchez. I would just continuously watch the DVD over and over and study their technique, their pattern, their steps, just the way they held themselves. And so that's something that really helped me kind of, I was rough around the edges when I first started, but it kind of helped mold me into who the hurdler I am today.
Okay. So when you start doing the hurdles, what were some of the areas that you was weak in, that you was like, I got to continue to work on this? I mean, naturally, you are a right leg hurdler.
Yeah.
How did that all started? Because, that the left leg, sometimes it's easier to, to go around the track, but most of the time, your right leg hurdler, you could do the 110. So in terms of your hurdling, how did that started? What were your weakest areas when you first started out that you really got to spend more time working on?
That's a very good question. I believe my trail leg was probably my weakest thing I had to work on. I had a really great lead leg. I could snap it down really quick, but for some odd reason, my trail leg will always just lag behind. I think I lacked abdominal strength growing up. And so that's something I worked on through the years is abdominal strength. And I think that's important for a lot of high schoolers because you don't really necessarily, especially as a hurdler, I can't speak for other runners, but as a hurdler in high school, you really don't need to mess with the weights until you get to high school or in college. And so in high school, I think technique and all those technical aspects are very important. You can mess with the weights and all that in college, but high school was all about stretching when I got home. I would do abs and stuff at night. And I think that helped me with my trail leg before college.
All right. So guys, you hear it. So if you were supposed to talk to some of the young athletes right now going to high school that thinking about doing the hurdles, what advice would you share to someone that's trying to hurdles that's scared and worry about falling down, or just, they're scared of hurdling the hurdles?
I'd say if you're scared, don't do them. There can't be 1 ounce of fear going in. You have to be completely fearless as a hurdler. You have to go into it with the mindset of like a 7 or 8 year old that's just kind of oblivious, and you just have to go for it. That's hurdling. You know what I mean? Cause they're in the 110-meter hurdles, they're 39 inches. And in the 400-meter hurdles, they're 36 inches, and they're pretty high for the average person. So I would just say you have to be very fearless. And it has to be kind of be second nature. You just have to have a screw missing a little bit to want to run around the track with 10 hurdles. Training is not fun, but you have to just, find something about that. Find something about